The December 17th meeting of the police committee, which, as per usual, is available for the public to view on Zoom with a link on the agenda. And having said that, I will ask Member Cleary to lead us in the pledge.
And pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, folks. And with that, our first item is approval of the October 22nd meeting minutes. Everyone had a chance to review them and give in comments or suggestions that they can.
I will make that motion.
Sorry. Okay, so please see all in favor. Aye. All right, so we have approved the minutes. Next up is the regular standing portion of the meeting, which is for town and village communications. Our agenda is late tonight, but if anybody has anything to meet tonight, start with Basil. Pass. All right, I'm next in line, so I'll say what it's on again, just for the sake of clarity and transparency. I did pass to the members of the board tonight, white paper on police facility planning guidelines from the International Association of Police Chiefs for the committee to review and refer to as the year unfolds and we revisit the subject of the physical facilities for town police department. Further discussions. That's it. Anything from the memo?
No, that's right. Nothing from Manlius.
We anticipated a light agenda, guys. So, with that, Chief, we come to the next item, the department report.
Great, thank you. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas. Thank you for being here tonight. I have a few things I'd just like to go over with you. I'll start off our normal staffing report, 42 funded in Y25. We have 38 filled. Within that, I'm happy to announce the successful completion of our field training by our latest police officer, Markel Griggs. Markel, as you recall, was a 5-year veteran from the Rome Police Department. It's a transfer. He's been very successful in our field training program. And is assigned to afternoons right now, and then I believe moving to overnights coming the new year. And we're looking towards working with him to be here at one of our town board meetings, either on the 7th or the second meeting in January, to publicly take his oath. Officer Mercedes Moore is currently assigned to the field training program and continues on that program. We've hired 2 special patrol officers, SPOs, for the FM district. As you know, that there were 2 vacancies. We are very happy with our hires. They are in the final selection phase. We have given them a conditional offer so we can complete the process, and I will give you all their information as time goes on. But just great folks that we're very familiar with and very excited to have them within our schools. They've already interviewed with the FM district. And FM was very excited to have them a part of it. We're also in the process of selection of a 3rd SPO, and this one would be assigned to the vacancy at ESM, thus closing all vacancies. That process is underway also, and it's another senior law enforcement member that is in the process of retiring. So there's more to follow there. Civil service list just dropped this past week for the entire county, all the agencies in the county, and all of the openings. There's 60 names attached to it. Out of that 60, I think that when you have very thorough and deep selection processes, that those 60 names will be whittled down. We are in the process of proceeding forward with selection, so we are canvassing that list and anticipation of securing some slots for the March Academy in Broome County, and more to follow. One of my thoughts in 2026 for you, and I wanted to just kind of throw this out. I don't need an answer. We can talk about it. We can talk, as time goes on. Is to maybe identify opportunities to bring in police officers that have different responsibilities, that that have different skill sets within the agency to come and maybe take 15 minutes to just talk about what they do, how they do it, and just kind of bring as much forward to the committee as possible. So maybe one meeting we'll have some of our officers that are assigned to the schools. And they could talk and then be there really for a question and answer. Whatever questions that the committee may have, you'd be able to have really just a direct impact or right then get your answer without any interference of any chain of command. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to ask, you got them right in front of you. So maybe some that are involved in some of the investigatory things, some of the involved in the community relations types of things.
I think that's great.
They
That
give you a
is
flavor.
really very, that was really, there was a period of months where we were doing that at the town
Yes,
board meetings, and they were very, very helpful and it's like, for that very reason, just quick back and forth on a specific subject area on social media. Very much.
so, maybe that's something that if you do and you talk, I'm happy to start arranging a little bit. There's always that balance of, I don't want to take too much of your time. And I want it to be worth it. So I could come up with some ideas of scheduling and what that would look like and flush them out on email. If it's something you'd like to do, well, then I'll arrange it.
Absolutely.
So with
Totally on board.
awesome. Lieutenant Greg Snyder graduated from the FBI National Academy. We're really excited to have him back. He would be one of the first people that I would ask to maybe come in beginning of 26 to talk about his experiences and the value of what that entire process was like for him. I can tell he's back. He's excited to be back. But just for my interactions with him, he's bringing a lot of stuff with him, and it's an exciting time. So,
The piece on him that you put out, that was excellent.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, I know that. They have to put out the press release too, because people don't, I only read the social media, so.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we push it out. We push it out to our media partners and push it out on social media to see, what kind of traction. Sometimes it gets some, sometimes it doesn't, but at least we can put it out on our social media.
Yeah.
To let people know of the value of this. And it's an exciting thing. As you go through and you get an understanding of the challenges that come with that program, we can also talk to him a little bit about his yellow brick. Don't forget to ask him about his yellow brick. Okay, because they have the yellow brick road, and it's a challenge at the end of the academy of combined physical exercise that has to occur. So getting your yellow brick at the end, which you actually get it and bring it with you, is a big deal in the FBI National Academy world. In fact, I still have mine in my office. It goes with me wherever I go.
How will you, let him roll out some of what he knows so that he gets to do it, with as many different attitudes as he would like?
So he and I will start having conversations. I gave him projects when he left. I gave him projects on the organization itself. I gave him projects on how we're built, what comparatively, and from his studies, what he could glean and bring back to us that would allow us to take a look at ourselves internally and how we're built. Do we have the right amount of supervision and command? Are we in command and supervising the right things? So having some of those discussions. He was also given the task of looking at and investigating how AI is coming to be within our business, and what best practice pieces are there. We also, there was a number of those things that we talked about, that, he's already sent me information back, but as he's got back, he's within the last few days has received a number of additional responsibilities. We're going to be focusing in again on conducting a workload analysis. What does 23, 24, and 25 tell us? Where are we? What type of work? I can tell you anecdotally, I see what I see from the numbers, what I see from our cases, the complexities and in where we're being asked to provide service. But I'd like to truly get the facts and circumstances surrounding it and look at patterns and trends so that we could start building what that next few years may look. We used our original one built in 23 to get us to here, and now it's time to. So we're going to be doing that. That's going to be a deep look at our January, February. Additionally, our 26 goals and objectives are being built as we speak. As we talked about before, this is a guide for our entire year. It's not to say that every single goal and objective we get to in the manner in which that we build it, but it keeps us on track for the things in which that we feel and we see and we sense, and we're also, discovering through our analysis that we continue to do throughout our year and again at the end of the year about patterns and trends of what's happening in our business. How is our community changing? What does our community need from us? And always evaluating, there's a difference between being safe and our community feeling safe. And we'll talk a little bit about this more as we go through, because I have some information that kind of leads us down that path a little bit. So we look at that. So it's like a living document. So, and at the end of the year, what we do is we go through every single one and we explain whether we were successful in doing that, or we said we don't need to do that, or we're going to do something else because things have changed. But that guide is something in which that we look at. And when I say it's based on the needs of the community, and we use it towards our mission success, what I think is so important about goals and objectives is input. When we conduct our assembly of our goals and objectives, our conversation, let's say really truly it starts as a conversation, it starts at the operational level. And our members are requested to be able to provide us with their insight. They're the ones doing the work. They see it from the ground level, and we need to have that input. So I also throw that out to you and say to you that if there's things that you do see, if there's things that you see and don't want to see, if there's discussions you want to have that you would like the organization to make a focused push or in discussion, I would love to have that input. Always open to that input. And that can be private, conversation, emails, whatever you'd like to do. And I do appreciate taking a few minutes just to think about it. One of the areas in which that, as we progress together in the police department and as we manage what comes in front of us, one of the areas in which that I've had great interest in having a conversation with is our faith-based community. And so I was able to reach out and receive an invitation to a meeting of many of the members of our faith-based community in the town of Manlius to just to introduce myself and my operations captain, Jeff Slater, and just to talk a little bit about who we are and what are our core beliefs, but then really to listen. We have all been on tragic witnessing, I should say, because of the ongoing nature of this violence that we have seen and experienced, not only here in the United States, across the globe, and now in Australia, and just these horrible acts of violence that are focused. I wanted to have that open conversation with our faith-based community to say, where are you and your parishioners, those your congregation, the folks that you care for, what do they need? What do you need? And how we, as your local police, can assist and work together and collaborate as a team. So, what we fielded a whole number of questions. We had a great conversation. And I believe it's opened the door to two separate things. The first thing is that we have people, and we're going to train more on what we call septeg, or it's basically a reduction of crime through environmental design. So we have people that are trained to go and look at facilities, look at landscape, look at lighting, cameras, doors, windows, window treatments, and all sorts of things on the floor of inside of buildings, and be able to make recommendations based on what they see. And with that, we've offered that to any of the the houses of worship within the town of Manlius and our 3 buildings. Secondarily, we also heard from them of their concern because many of their congregation are being taken advantage of through scams and such, and they're very concerned. And some of these scams are getting so focused with, I think, the advent of some of the latest technology, that they're actually calling their congregation and acting as members of the congregation or leadership and asking for funds, and people are giving, willingly giving them money. So they talked about that. We have a program for that. And so we talked about, after the first of the year, having more of a conversation about our faith-based partners coming up with maybe 1 or 2 large areas and putting them on together, and then we coming in and presenting on a number of different topics, that being one, but then other topics also in areas in which they would like to have a conversation. So it was a great opportunity. I enjoyed it very much, and it's just the beginning of what I would consider
Beautiful, and it's, like, we think back to last year, or maybe even further than last year, and it was similar, our retail centers had concerns that been percolating. And we had sort of a convening or a meeting of the minds. And they'll be unfurled the retail crime task force. So, I mean, this is another perfect example of responsiveness in our very specific segment of our community that has some parallel concerns. Focus on that. And I love it.
Thank you. I think for us, there is in our business this feeling that we in law enforcement need to be heard. Let us tell you what we think you should do. I think there's a balance, because I believe we need to be listening. We need to engage and listen. Let folks know what our capabilities are, but let folks know that we're here and that we're open to a conversation. And as they become familiar and as they begin to trust, everything else opens up. I think we're getting better at that as an organization, and we're focusing on that. Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. That the process is one in which that we're listening now. And we're challenging ourselves to get into more rooms and to listen. And when you listen, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to hear things that make you feel good, but they're definitely things you need to hear. And we need to understand, so that then we can move forward with them and truly make partners. So, but it was a really good meeting, and I enjoyed it very much. Talk a little bit about culture and effectiveness. We just kind of touched in this, we must measure things in order to be able to evaluate those things and then make changes where needed. So our 25 goals, in much of our 26 goals, you'll see a pattern that's about mission success. And really, mission success is, what does that mean? It's very much connected to closure rates. So are we, when folks are a victim of a crime, what is the likelihood that we're able to solve? Our rates continue to increase. I know we've had continued talks about this. You know, it's something that I measure constantly. And then you have that balance of the quality of investigation. We could solve a lot of stuff, but if a lot of that stuff gets tossed away, thrown away, wiped away, because the quality of that investigation, it's not where we need to be. So this is an ongoing and never-ending focus. As our solvability rates continue to increase, we're also focusing in on our customer satisfaction. Right? So, you know, there are some in my business that look at me when I talk about customer satisfaction and they're like, "You're in police work." And I'm like, "Exactly, right? I'm not in the retail business, but we have customers, and I want raving customers when we deal with our customers." And what does that mean? Polite, professional, and service oriented. So we use that power engage process, remember? So we collect that data. So we go on a call. There are some calls that are excluded because it's not appropriate for us to ask certain questions. And then the complainant will get a text message, it'll be from me. And I'll say, "Hey, could you take a few minutes and just talk to me a little bit about what we do and how we do it and how you see us." So I wanted to give you the latest. I had one of the areas in which I had Greg immediately pull for me was where we have been. So just to refresh, Power Engage is a process in which that we signed on to that's already through our Power DMS accreditation and training software. So it's the same organization, it's just another little suite. It works directly with 911 computer dispatch software to send police responder surveys directly to the complainants on specific types of things, and it's all done through text. This kind of stuff, we used to send 10 letters out a month, right? We handpick. So only types of calls that we select are included. We primarily avoid victims of sensitive crimes or incidents such as death investigations or assaults. We used to get maybe a 10% response. We get over a 45 to 51% response. In the near future, the software is also going to allow the department to send out pre-arrival instructions. So the citizens who call 911 with us responding. So callers in a motor vehicle collision without injuries may receive a text message and advise them to carefully move their cars out of their roadway to a nearby lot and advise 911 of where they are so that they can be there. We're going to start doing that as a way in which to maybe reduce the impacts of certain events on larger groups of people in our community. So some of the current questions, and I just wanted to bring this to you, and it says that based on your recent interaction with the department, please take a minute to answer these 6 questions. And it's 1 to 5, with 5 being very satisfied. And they are like, how satisfied are you with the service you received from the department? The responding officer or officers were polite, professional, and service oriented. The responding officer or officers appeared to care about your situation, and they were competent and thorough in their investigation and resolution. The responding officer or officers effectively helped you resolve your situation. And then we asked them to provide feedback if you have any for your officer or officers that you interacted from, which is interesting because folks spend the time to write the police officers' names in it. How does that matter? Because like I want my people to model great behavior. And when they're in the patrol room and we have a monitor and it says, you know, Officer Nicholson did a phenomenal job for us on this call. We very much appreciate him and his efforts. They'll write things like that. The officer comes in and sees, and goes, remember that, right? Just a great way to start your day. And it just continues to reinforce that culture. We also ask the choice is the following. They can answer it, and it's either not at all concerned, somewhat concerned, very concerned. Based on your experience at Town of Manlius, how concerned are you about safety in your neighborhood or the community? And remember what I talked about. Are you safe or do you feel safe? It's just 2 different things. So, We had about a 47.55% response rate between September and December. 582 of the questions asked, 556 were answered. And out of that, they received a 4 or a 5. Satisfied, completely satisfied, or very satisfied, 95.53% response rate. How satisfied are you with the service you received from the department? 4 or 5 out of 5, 96%, 5 out of 5, 91%. The responding officer is polite, professional, service oriented, 5 out of 5, 93%, 4 or 5 out of 5, 99%. And based on your experience in the town of Manlius, how concerned are you about safety in your community, in your neighborhood or your community? This is telling. 62%, not at all concerned. 27, somewhat, 12, very. We are what we call a flip average to the average around the country. It's flipped the other way. Okay. So, perception, fear of crime, how do you feel? You feel comfortable in your own neighborhoods. Lay that over what you're going to see for our annual report, which will tell you the real truth of many of the things we have going on. But I think that says a lot. When we talk also about the effectiveness of solving cases, closing cases, it's solving. One of the things that we've done is create an internship program internally, internship within ourselves, and we take field service section police officers, uniformed police officers, and we give them an opportunity based on their career aspirations and where they are in their career right now to participate in a 3-month stint by helping out our investigative section. They don't go in there full time. We have overlaps on Wednesdays, so they'll work on a Wednesday. Sometimes they'll either work on that Tuesday or that Thursday, depending on their staffing and such. When we have larger situations, they'll be called in to participate. But they're there in order to help. They get their own cases. They carry those cases with them while they're still working the road. They're the conduit between what's happening on the street and what's happening in investigations. And then when those officers are done after 3 months, they go back to the road and they take all that knowledge and those connections and those abilities, take them back.
Yeah, closing the loop.
Closing the loop.
We do on the front end. Yeah. More effective here, yeah.
When we had the 2 attempt murder charges on the 2 suspects from the shooting up on 298, one of the members that led the way was one of our field service section officers that was assigned the case when he got into CSU with them. And he did the presentation to the district attorney's office. And he went in front of the grand jury. I mean, wow, you did a phenomenal job. So the advancements that we're making, so that same officer that's getting that deep, involved experience, when you call 911 because of something going on, they're those same officers that are coming to your house. So they're bringing that with, which in many organizations, the two shall never meet. They just don't. So recently, I visited an organization where everyone started the road. We didn't get into detectives investigation unless you had a certain amount of time on the job, and it was all built by their collective bargaining unit. So you're never going to see this aspect until somebody decides to retire, and that you're next on the list depending on how much time you have on the job. This talent stayed here and only matured the way in which that it matures within that section. And this stayed here. And I'm lucky I don't have to utilize that system. And I think that we're seeing the value from the finished work of our members that have been through it. So we're going to continue that process. We're going to continue moving in that direction. And it's also good for the investigation side because the complexity of the cases that we're dealing with today, they don't have enough to, they need more resources. So my response is we have resources in the organization. Let's share those challenges. And through those challenges, let's grow as a whole organization. One of the areas, another area we talked a little bit about, my goal of connecting with our faith-based community. I had another goal, which was to really truly start a conversation about our social media and how we use it and what best practices. So we started a social media work group. And I appreciate, thank you, Tom and William, for also being a part of that. So we have our operational people. We have a member of the police committee, a member of the town board, myself, and also Captain Stanton that community relations goes through to. And we had our first meeting. What was ironic was we had an opportunity to send two of our members to FBI National Academy training that occurred the week before in Syracuse from two experts that just teach at Quantico on this very subject. We got some great best practice advice. We got some great feedback on what we do. And we are now taking, that best practice piece and starting to add it to our written directives. And we're going to have a draft. We're going to take a look at that draft. And we're going to hopefully be implementing something within the next 6 months. So that we'll have a standard manner in which they will communicate through social media and also through regular media. So, we'll hark back to turkey baskets, our Police Benevolent Association and members of the organization. We distributed close to 200, and out of that was the FM food pantry, the Manoa food pantry, and also Meals on Wheels, so that they could cook and deliver themselves. It was a great night, great opportunity for our members to connect with our community in a way in which that I think we always look forward to, which is a chance for people to see us a little bit differently. And it went great. My favorite is they call it Heroes and Helpers now. So we have a lot of members of the fire department come and join us, but it's over at our town center, and we had I think approximately 65 kids this year. The PBA puts on a big breakfast for them. All the kids come, parents drop them off, they get turned over to us. Everybody gets lit up on sugar and every kind of item in the world. And then we all pair off and we take them shopping at Target. It's a fantastic opportunity. The kids are great. They're so focused on buying for their families. Absolutely love it. So we have a great time working with the kids. My wife and I every year go and we have a great time. We always make sure that whoever we get, we also make sure that they get a little bit of spoiling, along with making sure everybody else in the family gets something on the list. And then they come back, Santa comes, and then they have a great hot meal from Carrabba's that they come and they do the whole spread for us. And the kids all come and they all get to take home and they all get to go home. And what also, this is the big part, and I'm sorry, when they come back, they get in the line and then all of their gifts get wrapped. So we have a lot of elves that come from the town, members of our town, and they all come and they wrap the gifts. And so when the kids leave, they have everything wrapped and labeled and ready to put under the tree for everybody. We just had a great time doing it. You brought up retail crime, task force initiative. It's in full swing, busy season. We were asked early on it was communicated through CORE, through some of the organizations. They had such turnover, they were hoping that we could get into a room again. So we did that on November 12th.
Like last year.
We did a training on November 12th, but it was more of a operational, here's what's happening, here's how you deal with us, here's what you should be looking for, this is how we're gonna help you, this is what we will do, this is what we won't do. And also to understand what their comfortability is. Because we sometimes get questions like, listen, we don't prosecute as an organization. But when we have stuff going on, can you still help us because we feel vulnerable, scared? We're like, absolutely, you know, there's things that we can do to ensure that, so we try to provide that balance. After our busy season, uh, after January, it's already been assigned, we will be conducting another analysis of the entire function. To take a look at patterns and trends that may be helpful in establishing either how to adjust, how do we get the best success? You notice that we get a lot of traction on media with it. Friends in the media reported to me it was because we were ahead of the curve. The state kind of rolled out theirs after we did ours. I think they modeled what we did in a lot of ways, especially with how we really just connected with our business community. Not our idea. We were just seeing what was happening, just again, we're listening. So we'll take a look, we'll see. We'll see about, you know, the viability of when we turn it on, when we turn it off. So again, we don't use any kind of overtime for it. We're very, very, very smart about how we use it and the power of messaging in a way in which so we don't necessarily always. So, community relations, they conducted a number of after-school safety programs at the YMCA in Manlius and Fayetteville. This time of year, towards the end of the year, it gets tougher. So we'll do a little bit less. I know, like our last committee meeting, I shared with you, there was like 25 things that went on in that time period. Summer, fall, very busy. This time of year, slow. January, February. We've also started doing programming into some of our senior residential communities, like going into the communities and having those conversations. And last but not least, I'd like to make you aware that we are exploring options to present anti-drug, anti-bullying, technology-based education within our school communities that we're already in, that would fit within our current SPO, SRO structure. And this started with a conversation. I think I'll back up. It's funny because ultimately when we have conversations in staff meetings or I have conversation with personnel, I'll bring up the old days. Because I have more old days than I have really new days, right? So we'll talk about what those old days look like and what we did, why we did them and how we got there. And it's interesting how things just repeat themselves within our industry. I'm sure yours too. So we were talking about that. And that we are at a time now where we have more opportunity to engage our young population of every age within our schools, but we don't teach them. We're present, but we're not driving necessarily a message. So we started talking about what that may look like. In 25, we received a $25,000 grant, anti-violence initiative grant from the state. Thank you. And with that, we're looking at options of where we may be able to educate and create or join an established program, build a pilot, and execute kind of stick our feet in the water again in some education and focus on a 5th grade. Because that's kind of where things are pushed out, right? So we're doing that, we're exploring that, we're in the middle of that about really how do we support good lifestyle choices at the time in which kids are really formulating that, and also empowering appropriate parental efforts at that same time. So if we're going to be there, what kind of messaging can we start with? So we're building that pilot program now. And as we kind of put more information together. And as we move forward, we'll be having the discussion on the, having the discussion with the schools to see, number one, they could be well interested at some point, but also do they have the time? How could we use that time? We're very sensitive to that because they have a lot of regulations, a lot of things pulling at them. But what could we do to do something along that way? I know in the past, we utilized study halls, we utilized after school, we utilized a lot of maybe non-traditional opportunities to connect. And then once that support kind of came up through, we were able to do some more things. So we're looking at options sensitive to what our partners may see. And we're gonna ask them to help us build. I think that we need to get back into the discussion about some of these things that we're seeing. Because so much of it has to do with technology these kids or that they're going to be exposed to. Okay, I'm all yours.
So what do you think about in terms of time frame for that? Like, do you want to have that going in 27 or?
I'd like to see the discussion as this year kind of heads into the summer, locking something in. If it's something in which that we can get some buy-in, getting our people to whatever additional types of schools that they need to, again, being grant funded. We have some flexibility budget wise to be able to do that, won't be local taxpayer dollars. And then have something in place, hopefully by fall. And if the fall is too much of a difficult time, could we do it in the first semester after, we come back from Christmas? Like where could we be? We're okay with fitting wherever we can fit in. We just want to get some traction.
I have a question about the survey data, which is fantastic. Have you given any thought to whether that should be posted on the town website under these areas?
I think it's a great idea. I haven't. I've just continued to use it internally for our purpose of evaluating where we think our people are. I haven't thought of it, so I think it's a great comment, Tom. Gonna have that discussion with my folks.
And clearly, since it's a town website, the town board would.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds great. I mean, it's completely anonymized data. I mean, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful.
The most detail it gets would be like officers' names, which I'm fine.
I like it.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you, Chief.
Welcome.
Just wanted to make a note for the committee if there's, I mean, any other business from anybody else?
We just set the date for your first meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yes. For the sake of,
Yeah, so if you're sticking with the every other month, it would be February 25th would be the next board meeting of your first one for 26th.
February 25th.
No, 26th. Oh, yeah, 25th. Yes, I'm sorry. February 25th, 2026.
Great.
thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I jumped
That was
ahead.
one of my, so, and then otherwise, I just wanted to just run past me and Chief, if you guys are comfortable for that agenda, for that February 25th agenda, would you like to add, Y25, goals, objectives, review and Y26 planning? I think it will be time at that point.
Whatever, I'm fine with that. Our 26 goals will be done by. And I can have them, I could have them out to you to take a look at. Sure. Or if you'd like, and then we could have a discussion on what you see.
And it's also too, same for that same date, are we comfortable adding a segment for an officer from a specific
I really like to bring Greg in. Can I bring Greg in
Sure, yeah.
on that first date?
our first victim?
Yeah, we'll start with him, if that's all right.
Sounds great. And I mean, this is just for, informational purposes for the committee, I mean, the collective bargaining agreement ends at the end of 26, so we're negotiating throughout this year for the agreement with the PTA. So. Ask questions, speak, send practical.
I guess I would need to know what it is. Should we ask questions? You
Alright,
know? Yes.
sure.
And when are we going to discuss this?
You certainly can, I would like members to just kind of glance and take a read at it first, and about how it is a approach.
But
Motion to adjourn.
that's.
All in favor? Aye. Alright, we're adjourned.